Federal hearing to determine if a controversial law passed by Congress last year is constitutional made its way to Lubbock today.
Yeah, KLBK's Elizabeth Fitz attending that hearing today. Elizabeth, this is a complicated debate, but help us clarify what it's all about.
Terry, Matt, last year Congress passed the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act, otherwise known as HISA. This legislation comes after the death of thousands of racehorses, declining fan interest, and a lack of national regulation. It's controversial among many groups, including the National Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association and the state of Texas, which are both involved in a lawsuit against the federal government. Some say, including Justice Brett Kavanaugh, that the passage of this law is a slippery slope that can interfere with citizens' constitutional rights to due process and can also pave the way for private citizens across various other industries to play key parts in legislative decision-making.
Congress is delegating all of its horse racing regulatory authority to this small group of private unelected persons. That should never happen. Government should not give its regulatory or lawmaking power to a small group of private unelected citizens. That is unconstitutional.
For more than 125 years, 38 states have been able to set their own standards for horse racing, which in some states is a primary force driving their economies. Proponents of the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act say implementing national regulations will protect the integrity of the sport and safety of racehorses and jockeys.
This was a very, very broadly supported bill and saw the need that we need to make sure that horse racing is vital and vibrant and can continue to exist in this country.
One argument against this legislation is that HISA authority could impose unfair economic sanctions.
The power of taxation. They have the power to set what the fees are going to be.
However, proponents of the initiative argue that HISA authority does not have independent lawmaking power and must work closely with the Federal Trade Commission. So instead of Congress overseeing the proposal, writing, and signing of regulations into law, HISA authority will propose and write regulations regarding the horse racing industry that the FTC can ultimately veto or pass. The FTC can also suggest modifications, but may not be able to amend those regulations should issues come up later.
They're at the mercy of the authority to say what the regulations are going to be. They don't have the power to take an eraser and say, no, that's not quite right. There's been no other federal agency that has had their hands tied like that before.
We believe that the broad bipartisan legislation that was passed by Congress and signed into law by the President is constitutional. We're confident in its constitutionality, and we're planning on implementing HISA come July 1st with a broad spectrum of industry support and experts.
A decision must be made by July 1st, at which point the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act will either be overturned or upheld and implemented. For more information on the implications of this legislation, you can visit our website, everythinglubbock.com, after the show.
Thank you for breaking that all down for us, Elizabeth.